Often I find myself struggling in woodland areas to find compositions. I'm not really sure what it is that I have difficulties with, whether it's the busyness of everything, how all the trees, rocks, grass, and leaves seem to just blend together and very seldom stand out and catch my eye. Or is it the busyness of the everyday life in my own head that doesn't allow me to see the images and compositions that are so obvious and evident to so many others? Every time I come into the woods, I feel this sense of confusion and far too often become overwhelmed, discouraged, lost, and many times find myself leaving more stressed than when I entered. How can this be? Aren't the woods and forests supposed to be a place of peace and tranquility? A place where we are supposed to go to relieve stress of our everyday lives? I think so. I recently read a quote from an American author, Richard Louv. He says, "Given a chance, a child will bring the confusion of the world to the woods, wash it in the creek, and turn it over to see what lives on the unseen side of that confusion. In nature, a child finds freedom, fantasy, and privacy, a place distant from the adult world, a separate peace." So how's everybody doing today? Today I find myself in one of my most challenging locations to try to find an image, and that's the woodland. I've seen so many videos on YouTube of people getting in the woods, getting out there in their local forest and finding great images, very unique, isolated trees, nice autumnal colors, but for some reason I've always struggled to find images within the woodland area. So I really wanted to get out today and find at least one good image here in my local forest or local woodland area. And for today's trip, I wanted to go ahead and come down to the Arcadia Wildlife Management Area here in Rhode Island. Most of the fall colors have already gone, so I'm not going to have a lot of fall colors, I don't think, but I'm still going to try and slow things down, try to find one good image that I can take home and be proud of today. So figured I'd take you along with me while I try to do this today. So let's go find us a good image. One of the things that I find most difficult while in the woodland environment is creating compositions. I think it's because everything gets just so busy. There's so many elements to put into a good foreground, so many elements to put into a midground, and obviously so many different elements that you have for a background. So it's very discouraging sometimes when I just can't figure out how to put things in a good composition here in the woodland. I'm bound and determined today to find a good image. Something's maybe it doesn't need to have a lot of foreground interest. Maybe it doesn't have to have a specific midground, but just maybe one isolated subject, framed maybe. I don't know. This is what I go through every time I come into the woodlands. I'm always discouraged because I just get so frustrated because I can't find good compositions and good images. Even though, as you're watching this, you're probably saying, "John, there's images surrounding you all over the place," which I'm sure there are. So I'm bound and determined to go find one, so let's go. So I've been out here for about a little over an hour now. And I still seem to be struggling to try to find a composition. While I've been out here, I've crossed a few creeks, climbed over some downed trees, climbed up on some rocks, but still haven't found a good composition. I mean, I've seen some things. I've stopped and I've taken the camera out just to see if it would work for a composition. But again, I just can't get satisfied with one good shot. It's really frustrating, actually. So, I'm not going to leave here discouraged, though. I'm not going to leave here without an image. So if it takes me the rest of the day, which I think I've got about another 3 or 4 hours of daylight and dry weather, because we're supposed to get in a pretty good storm tonight. So definitely going to have to hurry it up and try to find this image if I'm going to get something today. So hopefully I won't let you all down. Okay, so I think I finally found an image. It only took me a couple hours, but that's all right. So what I did is I walked up on this location as I'm actually walking down the path, and I came across this section where I have some really good soft side lighting. I've got the clouds that are really thin right now, providing a really soft diffused glow from the sun, hitting all this nice golden leaves that are on the trail. We still have some overhanging green trees with some mixed in yellow and gold trees on each side of this trail that is lined with these tall pine trees that are on each side of the trail. So it's framing it really nicely. And I just, as I walked up on it, I saw it and I was like, wow, that's going to be a pretty good image, I think. So I figured I'd go ahead and set my stuff up and try to capture this image. So as you can see, I went vertical portrait with my camera right now, just because I'm going to probably crop this into a 4x5 image, or maybe a 5x7. I'm not sure. I'll see how it looks in post-processing, but what I'm really trying to do is capture the height. I know I'm not going to be able to get the entire thing, but I want to show and represent the height of these pine trees that are lining each side of this trail and what it looks like as you're coming through here. It's almost surreal as you're walking through this area. It's just so peaceful out here. I'm actually glad that I was able to find a good composition now. I won't be discouraged when I leave here this time, that I'll know that I got out here. I was determined. I persevered. I found a nice image, I think, and I think you guys will like this image. So let's go ahead and work through it. So the trail itself is going to start at the bottom left-hand corner of the frame, and it's going to lead up through the image. The pines that are on each side of this image are going to be what's really, I think that's really the biggest interest of this image, are the pine trees that are lining this trail. And hopefully how I can expose this, I do have a lot of sky behind, some gray blown out sky behind these trees and through the trees. So I'm really trying to get my exposure correct, because when I turn my histogram, I'm getting some peaks on the far left just because of that sky that's behind all these trees. So I don't really I'm not too concerned with that. So I'm going to let it have that small slight peak on the far right hand side. As long as I'm not moving on the histogram too far to the left and crushing all my shadows, because I'm not too concerned about the highlights, because I might just go in post-processing in Photoshop and remove some of those highlights that I don't want. But what I really don't want to do is crush any of my shadows. I want to have all the detail and retain all the detail and saturation in my shadows. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I am on f8 as usual. Well, not as usual, but for an image like this, I'm on f8, and that's because I want to be able to try to get a good depth of field to where the things in this image are all kind of in focus. So I'm going to zoom all the way in, really bring up the exposure, and I'm going to manually focus on that tree to where it's nice and tack sharp. Then I'm going to bring it back out to normal, bring my exposure back down, and I'm going to probably underexpose this by a half a stop, just so I can, like I said, make sure that I have all the detail that's in the shadows still there, so when I get this. So it looks like right now I'm getting 1/40th of a second with one stop underexposed, ISO 100 at f8, and 2-second timer as usual, just so I don't have to worry about any kind of camera shake. I'm on some pretty soft ground, so if I have any kind of movement, the camera may move around and mess up the image. So let's go ahead and get this first one, or this may be my only image. I've got some really nice side lighting right now. The sun is really coming through and putting some gold color onto this scene. It's absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so I made it back to the truck. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, head back to the house, get something to eat, upload these photos, upload the photo that I got today, see how it looks, maybe do some editing to it. Take a look at the video itself, start editing it. Hopefully I can get it out by tomorrow, which will be Sunday. But yeah, I just wanted to stop before I took off today and really thank everybody for being a part of my channel. I really appreciate all the feedback and all the good comments that I get from everybody out there. So if I don't get back to you, if you write a comment, I really try to reply to your comments as soon as possible. But with the busy schedule that I have at work and with school, sometimes it'll be maybe a week or possibly even 2 weeks before I get back to you and respond to your comments. But I really do try to personally respond to all of your comments, because I do know that you take the time out of your day to watch my content. So I really want to make sure that I show you the appreciation for doing that. But if you're new to the channel and you like the content that you saw today, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, the great rest of this weekend, and until next time, we'll see you later.